Okay, everybody, welcome to a first look at Linux Mint and the desktop. Now, this is my own personal desktop on my laptop that I'm sharing with you today to show to you, for one thing, that I am not running Windows, and also to give you just an idea of what it would look like when you do the upgrade, and I do mean upgrade, from getting rid of Windows and going to Linux. Now, for somebody who is new doing this, especially if you've been a Windows user for a long time and you are not a technically oriented person, the best thing to go to in your particular case is Linux Mint, the Cinnamon Edition. This is the Cinnamon Edition. Cinnamon refers to the desktop you are looking at. Now, this is not what it looks like out of the box, because I have highly configured this. The massive amount of data you see in the center here, as I will highlight this, is a utility called Conky, which gives me all sorts of information on what is going on in my system so that I can keep track. And for my purposes, I do need this information. Now, you can see here the device used to record this is using about 25% of the CPU right now, and it is using very little RAM. 180 megabytes of RAM. And my RAM instances here with the operating system running and this program are 900 megabytes. The speed is excellent. The boot up time is phenomenal. My Windows 10 on this was taking up to 5 minutes to do a full boot, where I could open Windows and not be waiting forever for it to happen. And here everything just runs at lightning speed, which I love. Now, you'll notice that the icon setup is very, very similar to Windows, and I have this set to just list them in alphabetical order. I have hotkeys for most of these, but in case I need them, I do have them here as well. Right? And you will notice you won't recognize a lot of the names. However, these typically are programs that are Linux versions of programs that run in Windows itself, and a lot of things here are very Linux specific. But then I am a techno type guy, so it's a little bit different. Now, on the bottom, you will notice the panel, which is the same as the taskbar in Windows 10. And in the left-hand corner, we have our, I double-clicked that by accident, sorry guys. We have our menu, in which everything is nicely listed in alphabetical order. And as an example, if I wanted to do camcorder recording right now of my beautiful face as I'm doing this, the program is called Cheese, and there you see it searches very, very quickly and very, very easily. It is just an amazingly fast system. And on the right hand corner here, we have some of the applications that are in memory that I want control of, because this is completely configurable. And so I have, this is the recording software I'm using right now here at the bottom, so you can watch my desktop. And then next to it is my Nextcloud instance, and then my virtual private network, which I want to show you here because this is AirVPN and their application for desktop, or for mobile phone for that matter. It's called Eddy. And as you can see, I am hooked up in the Netherlands currently. And this is what is encrypting my connection between this computer and the internet world at large, and keeping me much safer than if I hit disconnect. Now, if I happen to hit disconnect, I have this thing set up, it shuts down the internet completely on me. Right? I have to be connected or I'm not connected. Right? I have complete control of that, of course. Right? And then here, next to that, we have the software manager, the upgrade manager. And anytime that a part of the Linux distro is updated or any of the applications are updated, they appear in here, where you can, with a single click of the install, you can install everything. You have to enter a password, of course, to do that. But very, very, very fast compared to Windows. And then it's done most of the time. 95% of the time, you do not have to reboot after updating. Here, only time you really have to reboot is if it's a kernel update, and that is once every month or two. It doesn't happen that often. Now, I have another task bar up at the top here, which I have my weather put in, right? And I also have the a Bitcoin monitor for price, because I am into cryptocurrencies, and I will click this thing back down to the bottom. And there's a couple other things here like the Bluetooth icon. I don't use Bluetooth on this, but it obviously has Bluetooth built into it as well. Now, if you're wondering, how fast does something load up in this particular system, let's pop up the Brave browser for you really quickly here. Now, I'm not going to do it by double clicking. I've got a hotkey for it, so it's all Control B for me. And as you can see, after I have done that, it has already come into the CPU. I'm getting a little spinny thing here as we're waiting, but Brave has loaded up. Now, the first time you load a browser up, no matter what operating system you are on, it's always a little bit slower, and that's because there's a lot of things it has to load in the background the first time they go into memory. And that, if you close down the browser, now this is a fresh reboot, if you close down the browser and open it up again later on, you don't have that particular issue because that stuff remains in memory for a while until it's no longer needed. And as you can see, I've come up with Brave here. It gives me some information since I installed this one here. My original install, I've been running this for about 1.5 years now total. These numbers are a lot different. But here's an example. This browser has blocked 135,000 ads. And if, as an example, I go to YouTube very quickly here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with this because this is an absolutely awesome browser. I really do like it. We pop up with my opening page, as it were. And as an example, I actually want to see this. This is a Linux channel here. I'll pop this into a new tab and whip myself over here, give it a second or so to load up, and notice there's no ads. It starts to play the video pretty quickly.
Switch to Linux. This is the business edition of the weekly news roundup. These are recorded
and
live
up in the
Fridays
top
night.
corner here, just let me quiet this guy down for a second. You'll also notice there's no suggestions for ads or anything else that is in there. Right? It all comes off pretty seamlessly, which I very much like. Okay. Now, the one thing I will give you before I conclude this particular video is you will notice down here that there's no antivirus software. If I pop up this and I go to search for antivirus, anti gets me nothing, virus gets me nothing because you do not need antivirus software. There is an antivirus software product, but there's no point to running it because Linux does not have, there's very, very little written for Linux as far as malware, etc. Right? Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and nothing is foolproof. However, it gives you back a lot of your resources not having to do that. You do have a firewall, which I always suggest that you turn on because it comes not configured, and access to the firewall, of course, requires my password. And it is very, very simple, unlike anything you've seen before. Now it loads up the system. It is either on or not. You can create profiles for it, and I only have one need. I'm at home, right? And all incoming traffic is denied. Outgoing traffic is allowed because with no outgoing traffic, I can't get on the internet, right? Very, very simple setup as far as that particular thing goes. Okay, so that's going to be it for your look at the way, oh, that's my recording software there. There we go, back to Brave here. That's it for this particular video. In the next one, we're going to use this program down here. It's called VirtualBox, and I will show you a mock install of Linux Mint, just so you get an idea of what's involved in it and what will happen when you burn the ISO file that you download for Linux Mint to your pen drive or your jump drive. Now, in this particular case, I won't be using that because this is a mock display. I will be installing it in VirtualBox, and you'll get an idea of what it is that you get as you are doing it. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Ciao.